Gonna be on TV? You gonna be on TV? I know. I know. Mwah. I love you. Hey everyone, welcome back to Chocolate and Spice Two Brown Women Talk. I am Neha and I'm here with my sister Nidhi and my dog Millie. And today we're diving into a topic that's super close to my heart, and Nidhi will be asking me a few questions on this topic.
Yep. If you know us, we always bring two different energies to most of the life choices, and this one is no different. My sister Neha, she has been a proud dog mom for over 6 years now. Meanwhile, I have been in full on young kid mode and just haven't taken the pet plunge yet.
Exactly. And so today's episode is all about pets, why we want them, how to get them, how they help us, and the responsibilities involved.
All right, I'll start a few of the questions that I have for you. What made you decide to get a dog? Was it something you always wanted?
Not at all, actually. In fact, I mean, we've never had a dog growing up, and I used to be pretty scared of dogs actually all my childhood. And I had never, ever, in my grand scheme of my own life, never ever thought I'm going to get a pet or a dog or a cat or anything. So, what happened was when my son turned 10, so I have for context for our listeners, I have a 19-year-old son. When he was around 10, he really started pushing us to get a dog. And that was sort of like the trigger for us to go and start thinking about, can we even get a dog? And my husband was like, I don't know. He again, my husband also had never had a dog in his family, so he didn't know what it was to have a pet either. And so both of us were very like we didn't know at all. Like we had no idea what to do, where to even start from. And so just to answer your question, it was not a conscious decision. It was something that my son wanted, and then I started looking into it.
And I'll tell you a funny story. So I think you got Millie, the your puppy, when your son was 10 or 11 years
Mhm.
old, right?
Yeah.
And there was one time he was here, we were talking, and at that time you were still thinking about getting a pet. And I kept asking him that, hey, your mom tells me that you want a pet, you want a dog. And he told me Mossy, which means aunt in English. And he said, Mossy, at this point, I'm so desperate for a pet that even if they give me like a rabbit or a cat, I'll take it, even though I really want a dog. But I'm so desperate that I'll take anything at this point. So I know that he has been wanting a pet for a while.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
All right. So on the same question, same topic, my question is, how and where did you get Millie?
I will preface this answer with again making sure the viewers know, like, and our listeners know, I didn't know anything about pet, and my search started by first of all going online and looking up like how to get a dog. And I'll tell you another story. I don't know if you remember, but about maybe when however many years back, 9 or 10 years back, when we were just starting to think about getting a pet, I had visited you in Austin, and I had mentioned to you and Siddharth about like us possibility of getting a dog, and then Siddharth was very kind to take us to a shelter in Austin. And that was the first time I understood, like I recognized that there's something called a shelter or a place where you could get rescue pets. And so I cannot even overstate the impact that moment had on me. So when I entered that shelter, I saw all of these dogs, in their, what do you call, like in their own areas, and obviously closed off for everyone's safety. And the moment you'd enter that area, you'd see all the dogs start looking at you like expectantly. And it was very clear that they were asking you, they were kind of almost expecting someone to take them out of there, and they kind of knew that's what they were there for. And I might tear up talking about these things because I still remember that moment, and I still remember there was this golden retriever who was in this, in his area, and I looked at him and I was like, oh my gosh, I really think I can take him. But at that point, we were just not ready for everything, and us living in Bay Area and that being Austin wouldn't have made sense. But it had a huge impact on me, and I was sure at that point that I'm going to get a dog from a rescue. So, in case again our listeners don't know, rescue is a place where a lot of dogs that need shelter or who have been abandoned for one reason or the other are placed. And folks can go and adopt pets from there. So my husband and I made a very conscious decision. We're getting dogs from a rescue. Um, did that answer your question? Was
Yeah, that answered. Yeah, I saw the due diligence that you did. It was the first time even I went to the shelter, and the look in their eyes of like being rescued, and many of them come from not a very good situation, so they all have their own trauma. And like, I think you're going to speak about this. Hopefully you'll speak about it because you have told me your stories. Like, you didn't find Millie found you, right? She came to you, and it's like a perfect match, and that is something you just don't choose. Like, the dog chooses you, the pet
Yeah,
chooses you.
yeah, absolutely. Like we searched for a dog for a very long time because we made a decision that we're going to get a rescue. There is a process, which is a great process. Again, depending upon the city where you live in, and I'm talking about America, most cities will have a center. It could be the state center or it could be the city center, which has this information from where you could get rescue pets. So I live in San Jose, so there's a city of San Jose, uh, you know, uh, pet rescue center where you could start your search. So when you go online, you'll see a lot of that. So that's what we started with, and we went physically to a lot of these places to like meet the dogs and understand how it was. Then there is a whole process when you're going to adopt a dog of application, sort of matching your family situation with the dog situation and things like that. So we did do a lot of that due diligence before finding, and I can talk about the story of how I got Millie eventually. But we did like it, we spent months and months, I think closer to over 6 months, if not more, just making sure we found the right dog so that we could do the we could take the responsibility seriously.
Yeah, exactly. And what do you think one should keep in mind before getting a pet?
I think very importantly, the motivation should be strong. Like for me, I know it came from the place of like my kid who was at that time just 10 asking, but I wanted to make sure that I am ready because it was very clear like a 10-year-old kid is not going to be able to take care of the dog as well as he should. And so I wanted to make sure that my husband and I are ready to have a pet in the family, knowing we've never interacted with a pet before. So for that, what I did was I went all up nerdy. So I read as much as I could about dog behavior, what it is to be a beginner dog mom, what would dogs expect, when do they get scared, when do other folks get scared, what sometimes people end up doing, like everything, what would happen to our movements and travel and how much resource it would take. I searched up a lot, I read a lot, and after reading all of that, I was actually it made me even more sure that I wanted a dog because I felt like I was ready. I felt like I was ready to take responsibility. I felt like I was ready to take care of someone. And the more I would go to a rescue center, the more attached I would keep getting to dogs. And so I would say like the critical part is you have to know that a dog or any other pet is going to be a member of your family, and they're going to be completely dependent on you for everything, not just their shelter and food, but for love, for their health, for activity and entertainment, and just about like anything else, like involvement in family matters. And so get a dog or get a pet only if you feel like you are able to do that. If you're not able to do that, know that it is a responsibility, and it would be very irresponsible to get a pet and then not provide whatever the pet needs. So yeah, I would say like absolute understanding of what it takes to have a pet.
All right, and that is one of the reason I know you you are at one point going to ask me what has held me back, because you have asked me so many times why am I not like just going for it, even though you've seen me with pets. Like, I love pets, dogs. I'm a complete animal person, but it has held me back just for the sheer responsibility between work and the housework and parenting and a very energetic 6 year old. I just try to keep everything running, and I feel like I've maxed out on most of the days. I know a lot of people do it with multiple kids and multiple dogs. That's just not me. And the idea of adding a pet, as much as I love them, kind of feels like another thing that I need to take care of, and I'm not ready. And you have told me this already, that having a dog, especially a puppy, is going to be like having a newborn, like a baby. You have to train them from scratch. And I don't think I'm ready for that yet. Like all the appointments, all the training, all planning of our vacation, thinking about all the unexpected messiness. And I want to be a good pet parent. And that is why I just feel I'm not ready yet. I'm not against the idea. There are a lot of my friends who have tried to convince me on the same. I just feel like I want to show up for the pet in a way that I don't feel ready right now. So all right, so the help me understand, how did you get your Millie?
Yeah. So again, for our listeners' context, I have a dog. Her name is Millie. She is 10 years old now. We got her 7 years back. She was 3 years old, and she is a rescue dog. We got her from a shelter called Humane Society of Silicon Valley. And prior to going to the Humane Society, we had also visited a few other shelters close by, and we're like looking for a lot of different avenues from where we could get a rescue pet. So, especially in Humane Society, they do this amazing thing of like they have this whole list of pets that arrive in their shelter, and you can go look at the pets and you can figure out, which pet makes the most sense for you and your family. So this is another important thing that I wanted to make sure our family was very was aligned on, which is what kind of dog do we want. And this is important because different dog breeds have different personalities and different traits, and you have to be ready to be able to support them in that. So after some discussion, my son, my husband, and I decided we wanted a medium to small dog because we were first time dog owners, and we didn't know how much energy and would really it would really entail. So based on that, I would look at these dogs who were like small to medium size on online. And actually, after seeing, we'd like a dog, and then we'd go to Humane Society. It's in Milpita, so we drive all the way there, and we'd go there. And what would happen often is like those dogs actually had the whole like a waiting list for them. So often we'd be second or third in the waiting list, and we wouldn't get the dog. And then we'd come back, and then we'd repeat the process. This happened a few times. And then I think I don't remember which was the time when I went. So I went to actually see another dog, and I was like, okay, let me see how this dog works out. And I was standing in there. So this is a very interesting story. I mean, I love the story because it makes me so emotional. So I was just standing in the reception waiting for to talk with the person, so I'm able to go meet the dog that I was about to meet. And I just turned my head and I see this puppy looking dog sitting with their at that time what I thought was their guardian. And that dog escaped that leash. She ran to me and she jumped on me like so harsh that I just sat down on the ground, and then she started licking me all over, and that was Millie. And she's not a puppy. She was a 3-year-old dog at that time, but if you see Millie, she looks like a puppy. So in my mind I thought it's a puppy. She came and she's licking me all over, and people around me are like, oh wow, you got your forever dog. Like that's your dog, you have to take this dog. And I wasn't sure, I didn't realize if I could. And then folks told me actually this is also a rescue dog, and she's also ready for adoption. And that I like for me, I got extremely fortunate because she just already chose me. And there was no asking anyone else because she already chose me, and that's how I got Millie. And it was so funny, like I didn't have to do anything else with her. She jumped on me. And then the folks out there in Humane Society were like, you need to sit with her for an hour, make sure you can both understand each other and interact with each other. So that's normally one of the other processes. So then Millie and I sat down in another room. At that time, she was not called Millie, she had a different name. And we both sat down in a room and we just sat down, and she felt super comfortable. She's just walking around me, and I'm just talking to her, and I'm showing my son her video. And it was all chill. And then my I asked my husband to come in and see her as well. He came in, and the moment Millie saw me talking to my husband, she was like, oh okay, this is also part of the family. And she went to him as well. And then she got into our car as if that's her car, that's always been her car. And she went on my lap and she slept. I mean, it was as smooth and as organic as that. And I like, it tears me up every time I think about how she just chose me and how lucky we got. So anyway, that's the story of how we got Millie from Humane Society. The other thing I forgot to mention earlier was there's a due process whenever you want to, get pet from these rescue centers. Most of these rescue centers ensure that the dogs are already vaccinated, spayed, neutered, and so on. So it's good to get a sense of the history of your dog. I did know the history of her situation and any other problems she had. For example, we don't really know what breed she is, but she looks like a mix of pug, chihuahua, potentially beagle, and maybe another breed. And so, just in these cases, it's really hard to tell what the health might be, but it's good to get a history of that if you are able to. And just like understand the behavior of the dog. There are certain dogs who have faced trauma, like you just said, and I've seen those dogs in shelters. But they've had such traumatic lives that they have a very hard time trusting humans. Some dogs are not able to trust men. Some dogs are not able to play well with kids. So if you have little kids, like, you have to make sure you bring your kid in if you're adopting a dog, so that the kid and the dog are also able to see each other and know each other. So anyway, that's how I got Millie. And then my husband and I got Millie to our house, and my son opened the door and he was so happy. He couldn't believe that he was like, he couldn't believe, because I was going to go to
It was
work.
life's dream come true.
Yeah, and unexpectedly I came back home and with a dog in tow, and he was so happy. And as soon as Millie entered the house, that's another story. She entered the house, she ran around the house because the house definitely had a different smell. Dogs mostly base off a lot of the reaction on smell, so the house had a different smell. She was a little confused. She did have zoomies. She ran around, but then she met Aryan, and Aryan was a kid at that time, and I think he had the kid smell. And she went to his room, she slept on his bed, and that's it. She was like, oh, okay, there you go. I have my partner, and he's going to be with me. So, yeah,
Oh,
that's
that's beautiful. Thank you for sharing the story. And you did also FaceTime me when you were sitting
so
1 hour with Millie. I was like, oh my God, I think. And you were like, keeping your fingers crossed because you had not signed the paper. You were like, I think she's going to be a puppy. And I was like, oh my God, that's the cutest thing ever.
And the other thing was the naming thing, because we were like, okay, what do we call her? What do we call her? And actually, my mother-in-law, that is my husband's mom, suggested the name Millie. It's a very sweet name, and in Hindi, it means you got someone. And
Oh.
we got Millie, and so we call her Millie. And it's funny, I think we had to call her out Millie like twice or thrice only, and she recognized that we're calling her Millie, and that's her name. So
I did not know that part. I did not know how you named her. So that's so nice.
yeah.
All right. So, what does having a pet day to day look like for you?
Yeah. So I mean, right now, again, she's been with us for 7 years, so we know her everything as much as we can know her. When she first came, even though she's not a puppy, she was a fully grown dog at 3 years old. Obviously, she'd already had babies. Like, she was a fully grown dog. So she was well trained. So that's another thing to keep in mind. That is, if you get younger dogs, particularly dogs that are younger than 1 year, they may need some more training, about how they go out, the kind of walks they want to take, how they stay on leash. So things like that. Again, got lucky. Millie was fully trained. So we really didn't have to do anything. She knew how to walk on leash. The very first day we got her, we took her for a walk. There was this couple of times she did escape leash, which, like, my heart sank to the bottom. Like, how did that happen? But my son had more presence of mind than I did, and he was able to get Millie back. But she learned right away, like, okay, she's not supposed to leave us. And so the day to day can be a little hectic, especially the first year. And especially if that dog has come from another place, or if has faced some trauma, you might need to train or retrain the dog. And there are a lot of these training resources apart from online resources. Actually, even though Millie was fully trained, we as a whole family, that is my husband, my son, and I, all three of us went and took, like, I think it was a 2 month or 3 month training in our local pet store with Millie in tow. And that, just to hear, just to listen to if we're doing everything right and if there's something else we could have done. So we did all of that, and we got this whole training certificate, like, we are now certified pet parent and all of that. And so, yeah, I mean, I may not be the best resource in giving out facts on everything that should be done when a dog is first here, but I will say the day to day that we do with Millie are as follows. now she's much older, but especially when she was younger, we take her for a walk twice a day, and that walk would range from, could be depending upon our mood, 10 minutes to half an hour. So you have to make time depending upon the energy of the dog. The younger dogs are more energetic, the bigger dogs are far more energetic. She's a 20-pound dog, so somewhere in the middle. So in the morning and in the evening we'd take her for a walk, we'd take turns. Then she'd want to play, so we'd keep her entertained, like we do get some pet toys for her. And my son, it was a great companion for her. They both would play for an hour and she'd be very happy. And then for her grooming, like I, because she is a kind of pug, so she does shed a lot of hair, so I would groom her, like I would brush her hair and stuff like that. Dogs do need bath. Pugs are advised to take bath like once a month, so I actually started giving her a bath. That was another story, how I learned how to give her a bath. But I learned, and giving her a bath. And dogs, some dogs like water, some don't, so how do you handle that situation? um, what else? I mean, beyond that, yeah, feeding. Different dogs have different needs.
Mhm.
um, Millie eats twice a day, and some treats in between, and always having a bowl of fresh water is essential, and just normal vet checks um, are what I'd say are the normal expectations.
So, what is the real cost of having a pet? Time, energy, money? Like in your mind, I know different people, different breeds might have different, but for you, what is the real cost?
So for us, one of the biggest challenges were the travel part,
Mhm.
because some breeds of dogs you can take in the aeroplane, while you can take them along with you, or just board them. Millie is not that breed of dog, so typically it's not advisable. We still can take her, but we weren't very sure, and we didn't want to create trauma for her. So we cannot take her on long vacations, which means then we have to figure out where would we have her, like in a dog's take care. And there are many dog daycares, at least we're fortunate in this area. So we had to figure that part out. Then again, if you're traveling locally by car, the decision of whether we want to take her or not is another thing, because not all places will let you dog in. So if you're going out for lunch or dinner as part of going out for a day, we may not be able to take Millie. So then we'd have to leave her alone. So those are some interesting costs. And then if you are now working from home, my husband and I would be going to office, and so Millie had to figure a way out to like be by herself. Again, for us, fortunately, Millie was an already trained dog, so she knew what, like, that she could be at home alone. But the first few months were a little bit hard on her. So I would say the cost is really the emotional cost of how you manage the situations when you have to leave your dog alone, or you have to leave your dog with another pet care. And what else? Again, like I've already talked a lot about the need for energy. It is work. Dogs are the most beautiful companions you're gonna get, and it is work. So we have to make sure she's fed, things are clean for her, she has a clean bed, and sometimes she wants to sleep with us, and we're totally okay with that, and spending time playing with her and things like that.
All right. So you talked about like travel. That is the biggest one in your mind. You have to figure out. And I've seen her sad face when we are leaving for like dinner or lunch, and she knows we cannot take her, and that kind of breaks your soul a little bit that you cannot. But it's a short trip, and they
Yeah.
get used to it, and they forget. I feel like I don't know if you agree. The attention span is also less. Like they forget. Like when you go out for a trip for like a week, and when you come back, do you think they understand you went for a week versus you went for like 1 hour?
This is one of the biggest debates between my son and I. I feel like they feel bad. I feel like, I have gone on a trip, and when I come back, the way she reacts to my returning
Mhm.
from a like a week long or a several days trip versus like I came back from office is different. I remember the
Oh,
first few times she'd like jump for joy, like she'd jump for joy, and she'd react very energetically. And when we come out from grocery shopping and all, she's like, "Oh, you guys are back, cool," and then she'd go away. So I do think they get it, but potentially not as much as we do. Like they're not counting days, but I think they get a sense.
okay. All right. Yeah, I always wondered if they understand this or not, because sometimes you told me that, oh, you came back and the reaction was the same. And I don't know how Millie behaves when Arin comes back from college. Like he goes for
Yeah,
obviously long periods
exactly.
of time, and maybe at this point she must have gotten used to him
Yeah,
going to college.
yeah.
So
It's been
yeah,
so long now that she truly like our smell is everywhere. She probably
so.
smells this everywhere, so it's a little different. Yeah.
So, do you think kids raised with pets are more compassionate or responsible? And this is for, I'm asking this for my own selfish reason, clearly. What is your opinion on this?
I mean, absolutely agree with that. I feel like that was one of the best decisions my husband and I took. It was a very bold decision, as you know, like especially from our family's point of view, but we took it, and I feel like my son has been so happy due to that. He has also been more responsible. I mean, he there was a time when he'd be like, "I love Millie the most." He used to say, like when he was a kid, like, "I love mom, you the most in the world," and he was like, "I love Millie the most in the world." So you can like what I'm trying to say is that he really had that attachment and the sense of love and care and compassion for her that I simply didn't know he had.
Mhm.
And even today, like now he goes to college, he comes back only on vacations. Every time he interacts with her, he treats her like a little fragile baby, and he plays with her. He does whatever she asks him to do, and it is all from a place of love. And I do think he's more caring overall for everything on account of this. I also think it helps with the, though I mean hard to say, like with the kids' health, just because like dogs are inherently messier and you cannot always control where they've gone and what they've brought in, and I feel like it helps with resilience and health as well.
Immunity probably increases because they bring the germs. So,
Potentially, yeah. Yeah.
all right. Is there anything else that you would like to tell our audience about having pets, or anybody who is thinking like me of, you know, wanting, like I'm always in the gray area of wanting a pet, and my son asking for a pet, my husband asking for a pet, but I feel I'll be the person taking care, and my son and my husband, even though he has like he really likes cleanliness, and I know putting a pet in the mix, we won't be as organized or as clean as he wants. But I don't know if you know this, Siddharth grew up with a pet. He had a pet when he was a kid, but
Mm.
then something tragic happened to the pet, so I think
Mm.
he does carry a little bit of that trauma of somebody took away the pet from them and did something not very kind. So there is that part in his brain, but otherwise they, like my kid and my husband, they do talk about getting a dog all the time. But yeah, it's me who has vetoed it for now. But like, if you were to give me some advice on it, how would you convince me?
I would convince you by saying that having, for me, I can only talk about my experience. I feel like having Millie in my life has been truly life changing. And I mentioned to you earlier that I might cry. Um, she has brought the kind of joy and
Love in your life, yeah. I've seen that, like the kind of joy and somebody you can lean on, right? I mean, I've seen you open up after Millie came into your life. The kind of compassion she brought, the kind of physical loan. I mean, you have never hugged me. Okay, for the audience, my sister has never hugged me ever. After we she got Millie, I don't know if it has anything to do with Millie or just your midlife crisis, Didi. But after you got Millie, and maybe you got good at like physical affection, because
yeah.
dogs loves to be cuddled, and all of a sudden, maybe 7 or 8 years back, you started hugging me, and I would like to credit Millie for that.
Potentially, it's hard to say. Like she's allowed me to express my love
Mhm.
very physically. Like I've always loved animals and I always cared for animals. I mean, I have a very hard time as an introvert expressing it, especially in front of others. Excuse my voice. If folks who are just listening may not realize that I'm actually full on crying at this point. But yeah, she is a very loving pet, and she ensured like I showed her a lot of physical love. She would come to me, she would miss like the way she would miss me when I'd go to office. She'd find my blankie and she'd go sleep on the blanket, like little things. She'd follow me everywhere like a shadow, like things like that. It's irreplaceable. And so the only way I could convince you by saying is like, I know you're already an extrovert and a very loving person, but the love you get from a pet is a different level. It's
It's
unique.
so selfless, right? It's like there's this no agenda behind it. They
Yeah.
want nothing but your love. There's
Yes.
really nothing. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's beautiful.
That's good.
uh,
Right.
all right. So do you want to do a quick lightning round, like the cutest thing Millie has ever done? Anything? I know she does so many cute things, but is there anything that you can pinpoint?
She does so many cute things, but these days she thinks she's the boss of the family. She probably is, by the way, at this point. And so, if folks have bugs, they'll know how they scold. Like they'll sneeze, like they'll do achoo, and that's how they scold. And so she does that to any of us. Anytime she's upset with us, she'll go to you and she'll like sneeze in front of you a couple of times, and you're supposed to get very scared of her sneeze, and you're supposed to follow whatever it is that she asked. You're like, I want to treat Achu. How did you not understand? I want to treat, and then you're like supposed to give her that. Yes.
Oh, and that it's so funny when Vikram was there and how she shows her teeth, and that means she's not happy.
Yeah.
And my son, 6-year-old, obviously has no clue that means she's grunting and she's not happy when she
Yeah.
does that. And he's like, "Oh, Mama, Millie loves me so much. Look, she's smiling at me." And I'm like, "That's not a smile, buddy. She's not happy with something you did." So, all right. Any pet peeve about being a pet owner?
Pet peeve about being a pet owner. Not. I mean, I cannot think of any pet peeve. I mean, her hair is everywhere. I wear black. Doesn't look black for long because it's covered in her hair. Everything in our house is covered with her hair, and I don't get peeved at all. But I hope our guests don't get peeved either.
No, it's
That's
not that it. I mean, there is hair, but I've seen other dogs who like shed a lot. I mean, there is a little bit of hair here and there, but it's not much.
yeah.
So I don't think she shed like extensively.
Yeah.
So yeah. All right, last question for you. Dream pet if there were no limits.
Oh, amazing. Yes, I would like to, of course, get a couple of more dogs, though Millie would absolutely not allow that. So that's probably not happening. But I would also like to get cats. I love cats a lot. And that is also a problem because Millie, that is another funny thing Millie does. She cannot tolerate cats. She's like, she'll either chase them or get chased by them. So it depends on the cat. But I'd love to have a couple of dogs, a couple of cats, maybe rabbits.
I can see how your old age is going to be.
I know.
Oh, that's amazing. I did not realize you were a cat person.
Oh
Mostly
yeah,
in
I'm
my
very.
mind, I feel like people who have dog, they are dog people. People who have cat are cat people. But it's actually news to me that you would even entertain having cats.
No, I love cats. In fact, my very first interaction with a pet was a cat. Uh, Way back, like one of my friends had two cats, and those two cats would not go to anyone else. But I was like, please, I want to hold the cat. And for whatever reason, those cats came to me, and I fell in love with the cats. And then I'm like, now I'm gonna get cats. And of course, life has something else handed to you. So maybe one day.
Oh, by the way, I did once have a goldfish.
Yeah, we had to.
You had?
Yeah, I didn't had a
Oh, yeah,
goldfish.
you had a goldfish too. Yeah, I remember when he was very little. Yeah, I had one too. I overfed the goldfish, unfortunately. I don't know what happened to your goldfish, but
Yeah, my goldfish fell sick. Yeah.
yeah, okay. All right, that is the extent of having a pet I've known, having a goldfish. All right, anything else, Lee, that you want to talk about Millie pet before we close this episode?
No, this was a great one, and I know it's probably a very long episode, but talking about Millie, I can go on and on. So I'd love to, if anyone has any questions or anything I can help with about having a pet or especially about dogs, I'd love to answer that.
Yeah. And I think what I loved about this conversation is how it actually helped me through your experience think through why and when I should be getting a pet, not just shouldn't be. Like pets are amazing, but I should also know my limits because there's a lot of work, as you said, that goes into it. So I want to make a really educated decision.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'd love to hear your everyone's pet stories and whether you're pet free and mostly curious or you already have a pet and you're covered in pet hair just like I am. We'd love to hear your anecdotes around that. And yeah, you can always find us at chocolateandspicetalk.com. We've got blog posts, episode notes, behind the scenes stories, and much more.
All right. Talk to you all next time. Bye.
Bye.